So hi, good evening. So what was the last topic? Features, I think we have completed. So features of the Indo-Islamic architecture. So last class we completed the part of the temples in North India and South India, and also the other styles which were prevalent in those times. So now we'll start with the imperial architecture of the Delhi Sultanate. So two type of the architectures we mentioned in the Delhi Sultanate. One was the imperial, one was the provincial. So imperial means that the initiatives which were taken by the Delhi Sultans. Then, so architectural initiatives taken by Delhi Sultans, and then provincial by the provincial governments of that time. So start with, so imperial Delhi Sultanate architecture. Imperial Delhi Sultanate architecture, and in this, first you mention slave dynasty period. So slave dynasty period. So as far as this period is concerned, what happened at this point of time? So this is the time when basically the conversion of the buildings happened. So it is the establishment of the Delhi Sultanate in 1206 by Qutbuddin Aibak then, and after the establishment, though I hope you know that in 1210 he died because of some, he was playing some game and he fell from the horse and he died because of it. So 1206 to 1290 was the period of the slave dynasty, and this time they converted some of the existing religious building into the Islamic premises. Moreover, arches were introduced, arch that we mentioned in the beginning. So arches were introduced, but these arches were not true arches. Then, so true arch and true dome was not introduced at this point of time. As far as the stones are concerned, so they have used red sandstone. Majorly they have used red sandstone at this time. Now, so what are those converted buildings? So first of all, that Qutub Minar premise itself is a converted building. It was one of the fort of the Prithviraj Chauhan, which was known as, any idea? Kila Rai Pithoda. So Kila Rai Pithoda was destroyed when Prithviraj Chauhan was defeated, and then on the remnants of the Kila Rai Pithoda, this Mehrauli complex was created, which included this particular Qutub Minar. So that is one. Then apart from it, in Ajmer there was one converted premise which was known as the Adhai Din Ka Jhopda. Okay? So Adhai Din Ka Jhopda. So, and inside the premise of the Qutub Minar there was one more structure which was created, Quwwatul Islam Mosque. Okay? So Quwwatul Islam Mosque, the meaning of this word was the strength of the Islam Mosque. So this was also a converted structure from the existing things of the Prithviraj Chauhan's period. Then, so in this phase, not major introduction have happened, but only conversion has happened. So you write that in slave period, you don't have any pages. Why? In slave period, तुम तो आए थे परसों की क्लास में, ठीक है? So mention. I forgot while talking to you guys. हाँ, but मैंने already एक sentence frame कर रखा था ना. No new introductions happened. No new introductions happened, but in fact, old religious buildings of India were converted. Old religious buildings of India were converted into Islamic premises. For examples, buildings in Mehrauli complex. For example, buildings in Mehrauli complex in Delhi. Mehrauli complex in Delhi. So this is entire area, but इसके अंदर बहुत सारे structures हैं. Not all of them were created at the time of the slave dynasty, there was one which was created at the time of Alauddin Khilji, so we'll mention in Alauddin Khilji's time. So इसमें add करो that, so for example, Quwwat ul Islam Mosque, Quwwat ul Islam Mosque was constructed with the Quwwat ul Islam Mosque was constructed with the fallen debris of Prithviraj Chauhan's Kila Rai Pithoda. Kila Rai Pithoda. Prithviraj Chauhan's Kila Rai Pithoda. Then mention another notable building was Qutub Minar. Another notable building was Qutub Minar, created in the memory of Sufi saint Qutb Uddin Bakhtiar Kaki. So actually Qutbuddin Aibak took his name from this Sufi saint itself, and originally Qutbuddin's name was Samsuddin Aibak. Then so Samsuddin Aibak, but then he took this title from the Sufi saint he was following, Qutbuddin Bakhtiar Kaki. And as far as the Qutub Minar is concerned, so I think last class also we mentioned that कई phases में development हुआ Qutub Minar का. So the second phase was developed by Iltutmish, then after Sikandar Lodhi, and then after Firoz Shah Tughlaq, and last was the Sikandar Lodhi. So brackets में लिख लो that the entire development of Qutub Minar, the entire development in Qutub Minar happened in many phases. Like Iltutmish period, Firoz Shah Tughlaq's time, and finally by Sikandar Lodhi. Then one last example you write. Mention 2.5 दिन का झोपड़ा in Ajmer was also a converted religious structure. Then one last line you write, mention in this phase they majorly used red sandstone. Red sandstones. Then so this is what is about this particular Qutbuddin's period or slave period. And now after the slave period, number 2 you write Khilji period. So Khiljis, when it comes to Khiljis, so that style which developed at the Khiljis, ठीक है, is basically considered as the true Islamic style. So this is for the first time that true arch and dome was introduced, not in the slave period, but in the Alauddin Khilji's period, true arch and dome was introduced. And the first building in India where the true arch and dome was introduced was the Alai Darwaja, which is also in the Mehrauli complex. In fact, Alai Darwaja is the gate of the Mehrauli complex. So many such structures were added in this Mehrauli complex. Only one ancient structure is existing in the Mehrauli complex. Can you tell me what is that? Iron pillar. Very good, exactly. So that was the from which period? Gupta period. ठीक है? Generally लोग confuse करते हैं मौर्य से. So it was the iron pillar of this Mehrauli complex was with the related to the Guptas. Then, so not with the Mauryas. Then Mauryas never instructed or never that constructed basically iron pillars. Their pillars were stone pillars. They were not involved in the metal casting. ठीक है? As far as the pillars were concerned. And you have already written that their pillars were monolith, meaning that created from the stone, not from the metals. ठीक है? So now Alai Darwaja was the first example. Then after, as you can see, the time period of the Khiljis are very less. ठीक है? Though that influence wise it was very high. In fact, Alauddin Khilji, you must have read about him, that not only his campaigns, but he was also known for his market policy. ठीक है? So one of the finest market policy he was holding during his time. So now Alauddin Khilji, rather than going ahead with many such beautiful things, he constructed one precursor city of Delhi, and this precursor city of Delhi was known as Siri. ठीक है? So Siri. So where is Siri? Basically, you must have heard about the Jawaharlal Nehru National Stadium. That area is the Siri area, Siri Fort Auditorium. So that particular part of the Delhi is the Siri. So he created one of the precursor city of Delhi, and he laid foundation in 1304. So these were the major initiatives, but not much happened in this period. So you write, mention, isme likho. In this phase, true arch and dome method of construction. In this phase, true arch and dome method of construction was introduced. True arch and dome method of construction was introduced. Then mention the preferred stone at this time. The preferred stone at this time was once again red sandstone. Was once again red sandstone. And then mention Alai Darwaza in Mehrauli complex. Alai Darwaza in Mehrauli complex is the first building which had true arch and dome. Is the first building which had true arch and dome. Arch and dome. Then mention in 1304, Alauddin Khilji laid foundation of one of the precursor city of Delhi, spelling is written here, precursor city of Delhi, Siri. One of the precursor city of Delhi, Siri. Then which is 31 AC number? Which side? किसने भेजा है बताओ तो सही, बंद करवा दूंगा. That switch off AC number 31. This one ना? Okay. अभिषेक बर बोल दो. This one also. सब मत बंद कराओ, आगे के दो चलने दो. Otherwise it becomes suffocating over here. So चलो, we'll increase the temperature of this one. ठीक है? So now further. So this is what is about the Khilji period. Now after the Khilji period, the next period is the Tughlaq period. So mention third is the Tughlaq period. So Tughlaqs were there for a longer period of time, and moreover, architecture wise, or basically new architectural feature wise, their contribution was less. Understand? So Tughlaqs, when they came to power, so they were not at all emphasizing on the development of the beautiful aesthetic buildings. In fact, Tughlaqs wanted to build the buildings which are strong and resilient. Then, in fact, they had a fear that the buildings created by their predecessors were not strong enough then and not resilient. So they, rather than building beautiful things, they emphasize on building strong things. Okay? And as such, this is also known as crisis period of architecture. And the techniques that they introduced, that is to be understood. So very first thing that they have done for increasing the strength, they have changed the stone. So earlier the stone was red. Okay? Now from red it has changed to grey. The reason being that grey was easily available and it was cheaper than the red, and at the same point of time it was stronger than the red also. Okay? So counting these three factors, red sandstone was replaced by the grey sandstone. Another thing that they introduced in their building was the barter effect in the building. So please understand that what is this barter effect in the buildings. So going by this barter effect, the buildings were slanted little bit from all the sides. Slanted का मतलब थोड़ा सा झुका देना walls को, ठीक है? So not very high inclination, but little bit of inclination must be there. Then, so little bit of inclination must be there. And कुछ पूछ रहे हो? अभी? मेरे को तो मेरी आवाज ही earthquake लगती है. ठीक है, वी कैन कंटिन्यू. वैसे तो बहुत झटके आते हैं, चलो कंटिन्यू करते हैं. सो नाउ लिसन, एक बार सुनो. सो स्लैंटिंग ऑफ द बिल्डिंग्स लिटिल बिट, हाँ इट इज हैपनिंग, आई कैन सी इन योर वाटर बोतल. कोई बात नहीं, लाइफ में बहुत झटके आते हैं. अभी यूपीएससी के झटके बाकी हैं, रुके रहो. तो सो देन little bit of slanting of the buildings happen. ठीक है, जैसे walls हैं, so walls are slanted or 1 or 2 degree it is slanted. Then why they do so? Because as per, and in fact I was going to talk about the earthquake only. So whenever the earthquake happens, that's a reality that this barter effect is the one which counters the earthquake effect. Okay? And in fact you must have studied in geography those different kind of the waves in the earthquake, primary, secondary and love waves. Then so somehow this kind of slanting it counters. Okay? It counters that particular effect of these all primary, secondary and then those waves which are created. Then apart from it, it gives a stable structure to the building. In fact, if you look at some of the major buildings in the world which are very high, you can feel that little bit of slanting is there. So for example, tallest building at this point of time, Burj Khalifa. Have you seen the image? Then don't you see that there is a little bit of slanting in the building? Take a little bit of slanting in the building. So slanting is done in the building so that it resilience increases. And what is resilience? Earthquake. ठीक है? So earthquake से लड़ने की capacity थोड़ी increase हो जाती है. So that's what they did. But then if they are doing the slanting of the building, so they did not stop over here, but they tried to make it as ugly possible. ठीक है? So they started the concrete reinforcement. Then so they started concrete reinforcement from both the sides of the building. Okay? So from both the sides of the building, concrete reinforcement is happening, and moreover, it has further provided more stability to the walls, but then it did not look better. Then, so Tughlaq rulers, rather than creating some beautiful buildings, they emphasized on creating some of the precursor cities of Delhi. So they also created 3 precursor cities of Delhi. So the number 1, so first city which was created was Tughlaqabad. Then, so Tughlaqabad, and anyone in this class who has seen Tughlaqabad? देखने के लिए कुछ है ही नहीं कि देखोगे. So whenever you are flying from here in the west direction, ठीक है? Just look that, just whenever the flight takeoffs towards the Jaipur or any such Bombay direction also, so then you will see Tughlaqabad. और जिंदगी में उससे बड़े खंडहर नहीं देखे होंगे, ठीक है? So that is Tughlaqabad. Then after, it was created by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. The second one was Jahanpanah. So Jahanpanah, And Jahanpana was created by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and this is the area of the Saket in Delhi. ठीक है, Saket तो पता है ना, नाम तो सुना है. So area of the Saket in Delhi. And then the last one was Firozabad or Firoza Kotla. So Firoza Kotla. Now already you know that where it is. ठीक है. So Firoza Kotla, this was created by Firoza Tughlaq. Then, so these were the three precursor cities of Delhi which were created by Tughlaq rulers, and they did not went ahead with the construction of some of the beautiful buildings. Then, so mention, you write, this period is often referred as crisis period of architecture. This period is often referred as crisis period of architecture. Tughlaq rulers were fearful. Tughlaq rulers were fearful that buildings created by the previous rulers were not strong and resilient. Then further mention after it, were not strong and resilient. They made many changes. In the architecture of that time. For example, red sandstone was replaced with grey sandstone. Red sandstone was replaced with grey sandstone, which was easily available, stronger and cheaper than red sandstone. Full stop. They also introduced barter effect. Barter effect in the buildings. Whereby walls of the building were slanted little bit. So as to provide stability. To the buildings. Then, moreover, the base of the walls were reinforced with concrete structure. Then, so this is what is about that introductions. Then you mention Tughlaq rulers mainly created fort structures in the cities. They founded following 3 precursor cities of Delhi. They followed, right, sorry, they founded following 3 precursor cities of Delhi. So you mention, इसमें नाम भी लिख लो, this these were created by. So first you write Tughlaqabad, created by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, created by Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Jahanpana by Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Firoz Shah Kotla by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Firoz Shah Kotla by Firoz Shah Tughlaq. Done? So now, after this, so listen. So Firoz Shah Tughlaq part over. Now after this, Tughlaqs were removed by the Sayyids. Okay? Sayyids, their period from 1414 to 1551. Shorter period of time, but then introduction wise they have introduced some new features in the architecture of India. So what are the new features that they introduced? First of all, एक बार पहले टाइटल लिख लो. So mention Sayyid period. So in Sayyid period, so what were the new introductions? Understand. So there were 2 types of decoration that they have introduced. One is the Guldasta method of decoration. In fact, this is regarded as the precursor to the arabesque technique which we have mentioned earlier. Okay? So Guldasta method of decoration, and another thing that they have introduced is octagonal tombs. Octagonal tombs. Then, and then the very unique introduction was blue enameled tiles in India. Blue enameled tiles in India. So now understand. So first of all, what is the Guldasta form of decoration? This is arabesque. You remember that those plant technique we have created. So plant would be there, but plants were kept in the flower vase. Then, so that is Guldasta. So these kind of designs were created on the buildings. But then octagonal tomb. So basically the base of the tomb, the base of the dome would be octagonal in shape. So we'll see image today. I have brought that. So basically, once you look at the base of the tomb, so obviously it will be having that this kind of 8 face. Okay? And on the top of it, this is a kind of a horizontal structure which I'm showing to you. But on the top of it, if you see the 3D, so dome would be created on the top of it. Then, so this is a new introduction that they have done. And have you been to that? Have you been to this particular place in Delhi, Lodi Garden? So Lodi Garden, mein there is a tomb. Okay? And actually, that is the only example of this octagonal tomb. In Delhi, okay? And it was introduced by them. So it's a biggest dome which is there, or biggest monument inside the Lodi Garden. Though I know that people go for some different purposes then, but then sometimes the UPSC enthusiast can also go over there, see the architecture, okay? So now, so mention in this one, you write Sayyids introduced Guldasta form of decoration. Sayyids introduced Guldasta form of decoration and octagonal tomb in India. Octagonal tomb in India. And octagonal tomb, T-O-M-B. वैसे तो tomb बोलते हैं, ठीक है? Tomb in India. Then mention. They were also, not they were, ठीक है? They also introduced blue enameled tiles in India. They also introduced blue enameled tiles in India. So what is blue enamel tiles? Blue to pata chal raha hai, but what is enamel tiles? So basically, see that any that thin and larger piece of the stone is called as a tile. It is not like that this is the only tile, but then even if the stone is cut in a very thin layer, and if it is a larger piece, so this can be called as a tile. Then, but then now we live in the age where tiles are manufactured. Then they are not cut from the stone; they are manufactured, and even tiles can be made from the soil also. Okay, so this tile that is just below your that the seeds, this is enamel tiles. Also, enamel tile enameling is a process. Then I'll tell you how. So it goes through very heavy pressure and very high temperature. Then, so this is how it is created. So soil they will be taking, and that will be pressed between the two layers on a very high pressure, and then after the temperature would be around 1200 to 1500 degrees Celsius. Then, and then thermal printing happens on these particular, okay, so on these particular tiles with 3000 degrees Celsius temperature. Then, so that's why these patterns which are getting created over here on these tiles, they are not easily removed. Then, because it is created on a very high temperature. So, and moreover, a glaze material is pasted on it, on the top of it, and that glazing, because of that glazing, it is known as the enamel tiles. In fact, enamel is considered as one of the hardest material in the world, and where it is? In your teeth. Okay? So in your teeth. So the tile strength is also compared with the teeth, and in fact this blue tradition of the tile, it all started in the Middle East part of the world. Turkey is known for the blue enamel tile, so as the Persia. So there are many such beautiful mosques in the Persia which are totally created in the Persia, matlab Iran. So totally created in the blue color. So it has come to India from that particular part. Anyone from Jaipur area in this class? No. होगे भी तो भी नहीं बताओगे, I know. So in Jaipur also there is a very famous pottery which is known as blue pottery of the Jaipur. So blue glazed pottery of the Jaipur, and it also has a, if I'm correct, so it also has a GI tag status. Very recently, I think 2017 or 18, it was given the GI tag status. Then, so the process is like the one which I have mentioned. Okay? So this is a new introduction, and then it became the part and parcel of the Indian society. So इसमें example लिखो, example of the building. Muhammad Shah's tomb. In Delhi. Muhammad Shah's tomb in Delhi. Then the last one you write, Lodhi period. Lodhi period. 1451 to, so this will be the end of the Delhi Sultanate, Lodhi period. So in Lodhi period, what all things were created? Understand, Lodhi period is considered as a remarkable period as far as the achievements of the architecture are concerned. Then, so what is this remarkable achievement of the Lodhi period? Understand, they also had a fear that the buildings which were created by the previous rulers, their predecessors, were not strong enough, were not resilient. So what they did, that rather than, okay, they did not follow the path of the Tughlaqs, who compromised on the beauty of the building, okay? But they did not compromise on the beauty of the building, and at the same point of time, they also tried to create a beautiful and strong structures. Then, so the new introduction at this point of time was the double dome structure, okay? So double dome structure. Now we'll let you know that what is this double dome structure. So these double dome structure was not only very beautiful, but at the same point of time, it was highly strong and resilient. Earlier, so एक बार ध्यान से समझना, earlier those buildings which were created, suppose buildings are created and the domes used to be very high like this, then, so domes used to be very high, and then there was like this kind of structure only. So this entire space is blank, okay? This entire space is blank, and generally the domes which were there previously, they had a kind of a ghostly darkness in this entire area. So whenever you enter inside the buildings, so you did not felt good, because it seems that bahar se to sab acha dikh raha hai, that, but when you enter inside, so you don't get a good feel because of there is so much of darkness inside the structure. So now what they did, that the height of the dome is like this only, okay? But then from inside they created one more dome at this place, okay? So they are creating a secondary dome inside, and moreover in the middle, okay, in the middle a vacuum is getting created. So now the height is brought little bit closer to the ceiling, so that the light which is coming from the windows and they are reflecting from here, so darkness is not here. And then moreover bahar se dekhne pe the dome looks big, okay, because the upper structure is still intact, so dome looks big and looks beautiful. So this is what they did. But then one more benefit happened, that the shock absorbing capacity of the building also increased. कि बीच में ये जो vacuum create हुआ, so this vacuum is known for the shock absorbing capacity. And another thing, factor which happened is the acoustics of the buildings improved. What is acoustics? Sound effect, ठीक है. So as you know that sound effect से भी buildings को damage होता है. So acoustics of the buildings also improved, and then now it became not only beautiful, stronger, but also resilient. Then apart from it, they also incorporated some Indian elements into their building, and one of the incorporation was the concept of veranda. So it is a concept in the Indian houses, and now veranda concept was introduced in the buildings of the Lodhis. And the third one, that Lodhis were the first people who started planting gardens around their buildings. So mention, you write. It was also not regarded. It was also the crisis period of architecture, but it was also the crisis period of architecture, but Lodhi rulers turned crisis into opportunity. Lodhi rulers turned crisis into opportunity. Opportunity. Full stop. They introduced double dome structure. They introduced double dome structure. Double dome structure, which was not only beautiful, but also strong and resilient. Once it was introduced, the tradition of making double dome structure continued till British period. Then mention, paragraph change karo. They also incorporated Indian concept of veranda in the Mughal buildings, or not Mughal nahi likhna, in the Sultanate buildings. Full stop. Then you write, Lodhis were first to start the practice of planting gardens around buildings. Around the buildings. Then example you write, tomb of Behlul Lodhi, Sikandar Lodhi, Behlul Lodhi, Sikandar Lodhi, and Ibrahim Lodhi. then, and all of them is in Lodhi Garden, Delhi. And even this garden was also planted by them. Done. So this is what is about the Delhi Sultanate architecture. Now after the Delhi Sultanate architecture, we need to move to the provincial architecture of the Delhi Sultanate period. Okay? So mention a title. Provincial architecture of Delhi Sultanate. So in this very first one, you write number 1, Bengal architecture. Bengal architecture. So Bengal architecture. Now understand. So Bengal as a province was unique in terms of architecture also, and in fact it was one of the very rich area of India. So whenever the Mughal rulers, okay, that when Mughal rulers have established their power in India, so one of their objective was to conquer the Bengal. Then, so now here that one of the aspect of the Bengal is unique architecture, and it has a little bit of influence from the northeast India, okay, and also from the Myanmar. So what are the specialities? First of all, Bengal architecture of this particular time, and what is that time? I'm referring to 1200 to 1600. So time bracket is the entire 1200 to 1600. In this period, that they mainly used the stone, not stone, brick, and then black stone. So their preference was more towards the black stone, even black marbles also. Then apart from it, the speciality of the Bengal architecture was their unique sloping Bangla roof. Okay? So their unique sloping Bangla roof. Then, and there was a reason behind that why they have created sloping Bangla roof. Let me create one of it. So if they are creating a building, suppose that this is there, so little bit of convex structure is created on the top of the building. Then, so this kind of structures were created. Then, so this type of the roof was called as sloping Bangla roof, and the reason being that Bangladesh and Bengal both receives that hell lot of rain, and then it is meant for the effective drainage of the rain. Then apart from it, they also created one special variety of the brick which is called as thin terracotta brick. Okay? So thin terracotta bricks. So there are many such names of this thin terracotta bricks in the different parts of the country. So I'll not ask any question, but just want to know so that you can relate with it. How many of you are from Haryana? Two? Just two? 3-4 people. Haryana or Rajasthan bhi chalega, theek hai? So little bit. So basically those who are from Haryana, Rajasthan and Western UP, there is a one particular variety of the brick which is known as Lakhori brick. Lakhori dekha hai, patla sa, theek hai? So so Lakhori brick is that very very thin brick, theek hai? एंड देन जैसे नॉर्मल ये इस अगर जो बिल्डिंग को देखोगे तो इसमें जो ब्रिक लगा हुआ है या फिर अपने 34 में बगल में जो आगे से बिल्डिंग पे लगा रहे हैं, सो दैट इज अ नॉर्मल ब्रिक. देन बट विद द सेम ब्रिक इफ यू कट इट इनटू द 5 पार्ट्स, सो दैट वुड बी द थिन टेराकोटा ब्रिक. इफ यू डिड नॉट अंडरस्टूड द लाखोरी, सो मेनी ऑफ यू आर फ्रॉम यूपी, ईस्टर्न यूपी, बिहार एंड मध्य प्रदेश. हैव यू हर्ड द वर्ड खपड़ैल? अब समझ में आ गया? So now, so this was used in the construction. ठीक है? हाँ, वो ऊपर होता है. इनको समझाने के लिए मैंने बताया. लाखौरी कंस्ट्रक्शन में जाता है, टेम्पल में मेनली जाता है. मेनली टेम्पल वाले यूज करते हैं, particularly in Haryana, लाखौरी. And then that one goes into the roofing of the one which I mentioned. So this was actually the speciality of the Bengal architecture. And moreover, when in Bengal architecture, building were created with a very large expanse. Then तो बहुत ज़्यादा एरिया लेके बनाते थे. And moreover, the roofs were highly stunted. So if I say that roofs were stunted, what do you mean? Stunting is a word which we use with the children. You know what is stunting? स्टंटिंग का मतलब ये होता है कि एज के अकॉर्डिंग हाइट नहीं है बच्चों की, ठीक है. सो एज मान लो एज ऑफ द चिल्ड्रन आर 10 बट देयर हाइट इज अकॉर्डिंग टू 4-year old child. So this is what we call stunting. So here also buildings were also seem to be stunted, meaning that looking at the expanse of the building, they are covering so large area, but then the height of the building is very stunted. और कभी कभी मतलब इन सम ऑफ द केसेस इफ यू एंटर इनसाइड द बिल्डिंग सो यू विल हैव टू एंटर लाइक बोइंग डाउन, ठीक है. इफ यू आर एंटरिंग स्ट्रेट सो आपके ईगो को बहुत ज्यादा धक्का पहुंचेगा. सो यू विल बम्प इनटू द वॉल्स. सो the wall height is very less, just like in today's time, that here we have not gone with that false ceiling in this particular space, but nowadays what people do, that false ceiling inside the houses और नीचे आ जाती है छत, ठीक है. So this is what we are calling stunting. So this is what was there. Moreover, when we look at this structure, so though we are studying from the perspective of the archaeological importance then and historical importance, but believe me, none of these buildings were beautiful at any extent. Then I was also highly excited that I was doing the excursion tours, and then obviously that to teach this subject you needed to know from the ground itself. For the very first time in my life, I felt that I wasted my money. Except the park developed by Archaeological Survey of India, nothing was better. Then उससे बेहतर मेरे गांव में खंडहर हैं बहुत सारे. So you right mention. So Bengal architecture के हाँ, so पहला point लिखो. They mainly used brick and black stone in construction. Black stone in construction. एक क्लास में किसी ने मेरे से पूछा कि सर ये ब्लैक स्टोन तो पहली बार सुन रहे हैं, तो मैंने बोला कि हाँ मतलब हो सकता है. सो देन सेड कि नहीं सर, वो लोग बंगाल वाले काला जादू करते हैं इसीलिए काला ईंट यूज करते हैं. तो देन वन गर्ल वाज ऑन द अदर साइड एंड सी सेड कि लेके आई हूँ भी बैग में, अभी चलो बाहर. सो मेंशन फर्दर stone. Then you write the speciality of the Bengal architecture. The speciality of Bengal architecture was creation of sloping Bangla roofs. Was creation of sloping Bangla roofs. Bangla roofs. Then mention further. They also used thin terracotta bricks. They also used thin terracotta bricks in construction. In construction. Full stop. Then you write. The expanse of buildings was very large. The expanse of buildings was very large, but their heights were stunted. But their heights were stunted. Then mention example. You write Kadam Rasool Mosque. Kadam Rasool Mosque of Gaur and Adhina Masjid of Pandua. So both are in Bengal. So Kadam Rasool Mosque of Gaur and Adhina Masjid of Pandua. Done. So after Bengal, next you write number 2 from UP, Jaunpur architecture. Jaunpur architecture. So basically Jaunpur, it is a adjacent district to the which area? Varanasi, okay? So Varanasi or that which one? Prayagraj, हाँ. So Prayagraj से काफी closer है. So in Jaunpur, when Delhi Sultanate was there, in fact Delhi Sultanate भी नहीं, ठीक है? even till the Mughal time, there was one local dynasty in the Jaunpur known as Sarki dynasty. Okay? So Sarki dynasty, and they were ruling over here in Jaunpur area. Now, so their style which was developed was known as Sarki style of architecture. The speciality of this style was basically creation of very big propylon gateways. Very big propylon gateways. And what is propylon gateway? So let's understand with the structure itself. So in the middle, they will be creating a very big gate. Okay? Very big gate, and this gate might have many arches, layers of the arches. Then entrance, but then it might have many layers of the arches. So 1, 2, 3, in all of it. Then, but then on the sides, they also create similar chamber-like structures. Okay? So similar chamber-like structures, and this is how the aesthetic beauty of this particular building increases. So there would be chambers on the sides of the similar height and exactly similar on both the sides, and this would be in the middle. So this is what is called as the propylon gateway. Another thing, that just on the back side of the propylon gateway, they used to create a mosque then, and in the mosque they were not creating the minaret or minar then. So any minaret or minar was not created. The reason being, purpose of the minaret is to announce morning prayers. Then, so the height of the gate itself is too high that the announcement can happen from the gate itself. So there is no need of additional structure. So you write Jaunpur architecture is also referred as Sarki style. I have written somewhere on the top, just give me 1 minute. SHARQUI, Sarki style. Done? Then mention, you write, the special feature of this area was development of huge propylon gateways. Huge propylon gateways. Huge propylon gateways. Done. Then you mention after it. Moreover, they did not created minar or minaret in their mosque. They did not created minar or minaret in their mosque. Example you write, Atala Masjid of Jaunpur. Atala Masjid of Jaunpur, so as Jama Masjid of Jaunpur. So Atala Masjid and Jama Masjid. Then Jama is a concept. Okay? What is concept? Friday prayer mosque. Okay? So Friday prayer mosque are referred as Jama Masjid. With the same name, the mosque could be there in many parts of the country. Okay? So not just Delhi में ही Jama Masjid है, but Pakistan में भी है, Bangladesh में भी है, Karnataka में भी है, UP में भी है. So everywhere it is there. So now let's come to the next architecture, and after this you mention Malwa architecture. Malwa architecture. Malwa का spelling तो ऐसे ही, this is not the Malwa spelling, MALWA. So where is Malwa? MP na? हाँ. So basically tri-junction of the three states, Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and little bit of Rajasthan, okay? So little bit of Rajasthan after the Kota, okay? So basically the Chambal Ghati is also coming under the Malwa. But do you have any idea that there is a Malwa in the Punjab also? Anyone from Punjab? No idea. होशियारपुर area is called as Malwa, ठीक है? वैसे तो पंजाब में 3 areas हैं. One is Malba, Doaba, ठीक है, and Majha. Majha is the urban area of the Punjab. So that's a different way it has been described. So the Hoshiarpur area is the one zone of the Punjab which is little impoverished. Majha is very rich area, and Doaba is agriculturally very fertile. So here the Malwa that we are talking about, it is the Madhya Pradesh wala, ठीक है, which includes Ratlam, Nagaur, ठीक है, these all areas. Now Malwa architecture is considered as one of the finest provincial architectures. So finest provincial architectures of the Delhi Sultanate period time, and it was developed by the Pathan rulers of the Malwa. So Pathan rulers of the Malwa, in fact, this dynasty, Pathan dynasty of the Malwa, it came to their nemesis, not nemesis I would say, they were defeated at the time of the Akbar, and in fact there are many stories associated with them. So let's first talk about their architecture. As far as their architecture is concerned, we mentioned that finest. They used wide variety of the stones. So they are not sticking to just one stone, that is grey stone or red stone. They used everything, okay? Whichever stone they found better and beautiful at one particular place, they have used. Then the second thing, that they have taken care of the cross ventilation in their buildings, then, and large windows were created in their buildings. Other problem in the medieval architecture of that time, that the staircases in the medieval architecture were not very well proportioned, and in Malwa architecture, staircases were highly well proportioned. So what do we mean by well proportioned staircases? Generally what happened, that previously kitne bhi khubsurat buildings the, then, but then when it came to stairs, so the height of one stair is this much, another is this much, another is this much, take a fir kam, fir jada. So then the stairs, the height of the stairs are not equal. And another problem with that, when you are putting your feet on the stairs, so only this much part is landing and this is outside. So this is not a well proportioned staircase then. And moreover, whenever you are escalating a non-proportioned staircase, so even if you escalate just 15 CD, okay, or 20 or 25, you may feel that you have already escalated 50 stairs then, because of the unevenness of the stair. Now when the well proportioned staircases are created, so not only your entire feet will be landing on the stair, but also all the stairs would be of the same height. ऐसे देखने में लग रहा कि ये तो छोटा सा कॉन्सेप्ट है, बट दिस इज एक्चुअली वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट कॉन्सेप्ट. व्हेन द बिल्डिंग्स आर क्रिएटेड ऑन अ हाई प्लेटफॉर्म, सो देन यू नीड टू हैव अ वेरी वेल प्रोपोर्शनड staircases then. So this is what they paid emphasis to, and they created a very good kind of structure. And this model was emulated later on by the Mughals and many other people also. Okay? So for example, that when we talk about the staircase only, then so staircase only, many of you live in the old Rajendra Nagar, then, and in old Rajendra Nagar you just look at the houses, ठीक है? So houses में stairs तो ऐसे हैं that कि so many twists and turns are there in these. Have you seen that? Or you must have encountered in old Rajendra Nagar that so many twists and turns are there in the stairs, जितने की जिंदगी में नहीं होंगे, ठीक है? And then moreover, how they have saved the space in their building so that more number of the rooms can be created and it can be given to you on a very high rate. I remember very first day when I came for the preparation, and then my mom called that how is your room? So I said that ki ghar ke bathroom ke barabar. So so this is what we all felt on the very first day. And then you see the rents that they are charging, ठीक है? वो पूरी मार्केट सजा रखी है, ठीक है? तुम्हें देख के बहुत अच्छा लग रहा होगा, और मुझे देख के एक्सप्लॉयटेशन दिखता है. आओ आओ अंदर आओ. Then so ये यहाँ का ट्रेडर एसोसिएशन, one of the most exploitative association is there. So let's come back to this part. So well proportioned staircases were created. Then apart from it, they also created different type of the buildings. So for example, there was one mahal, one palace which was completely created from the arches, and it is known as the Hindola Mahal. Then Then they also created high rising pavilions. Then, so high rising pavilions meaning that the buildings which are created on a very greater height, so that a very good view of the Narmada Valley would be there. Then apart from it, they also created some buildings in the middle of the lake. Then, so middle of the lake, and it further increases obviously aesthetic beauty. Then as far as the decoration is concerned, so they not only they were using the good varieties of the carpets on the floor as a floor mat, but then wall mats were also created. So what is wall mat? That the special category of the carpets which are used for the hanging purpose and further increasing the beauty from inside. So mention, and then we'll write the examples. There I'll tell you one story. So mention, it was developed by Pathan rulers of Malwa. It was developed by Pathan rulers of Malwa. Then further you mention after it, Pathan rulers of Malwa, full stop. It was the finest of provincial architecture. It was the finest of provincial architecture. So now you write features. They used, number one, they used wide variety. They used wide variety of stones in construction. Stones in construction. Then next you write after it, large windows were created. Large windows were created, and special emphasis was given to cross ventilation. Special emphasis was given to cross ventilation. Number 3, they created well proportioned staircases. Well proportioned staircases. Then arches were beautifully created. Arches were beautifully created in the hallways of buildings. In the hallways of the buildings. Full stop. Then next point. At some places, high rising pavilions were created. At some places, high rising pavilions were created to capture the best view of Narmada Valley. To capture the best view of Narmada Valley. Then, so mention some of the examples. So in example, you write Mandu Fort, Ashrafi Mahal, Jahaj Mahal, Rani Roopmati Pavilion, Hindola Mahal, etc. Hindola Mahal, etc. And all of them are in Mandu of Madhya Pradesh. Mandu of Madhya Pradesh. Then now visible. So I'll tell you one small story related to this building, which is Rani Roopmati Pavilion. So this is the time which is coinciding with the Akbar's rise in India. So it is around 1560s. Then in 1560s, and moreover, that is the time when Akbar, not only that Bairam Khan has taken retirement from his regency job, and Mehmanga. Okay? You remember the lady, if you have seen any such episode associated with Akbar. So Mehmanga was the lady who was interfering in the politics. So Akbar's campaign in the different areas have also started, and it is Mehmanga's son Adam Khan who insisted on the capture of the Malwa area of the and the Malwa was ruled by the Pathans. At this point of time, the ruler of the Malwa was Baj Bahadur. So what is the story of the Baj Bahadur? So basically, that's Rani Roopmati Pavilion story I'm going to tell you, not the Akbar story. So Rani Roopmati was one of the lady from this area, from the royal Hindu family. But then she was not only she was very beautiful, but she has a divine voice also. And she was known for her singing. So as per the details which has been there, one fine day that Baj Bahadur has gone for the hunting, and then he heard the song of the Rani Roopmati. At one such location, she along with her friends, she was singing. Then Baj Bahadur started to move in the direction of the song, and as you know that as closer he was getting, as clearly he was knowing that what a beautiful song it is. And as you know that this was the Doppler effect, then that you come closer and then the frequency increases, and then the frequency matched also. Then that both of them saw each other. She started behaving that I haven't seen you, okay, but I have seen you. And he was like that, now I have seen you, so I will see you all the time. So the daily these kind of things happen. She is coming with the friends for singing purpose. She is just waiting that when he will arrive, and he is just coming that she has arrived. So it continued for long time, and after this Luka Chupi, they not proposed each other. It is Baj Bahadur who proposed to Roopmati. So Roopmati said that I knew that this will happen, okay, and then I wanted it must happen, but I will make a request to you that we, the people of the Narmada Valley, we have a very sacred association with the Narmada River. Then, so there is a one ritual that we perform on the daily basis, that is the worshipping the Narmada River early in the morning. Then, so make sure that you give me a building, okay, or you give me a space from where I can worship the Narmada River without any hindrance. Then he agreed for it. And he said that I will get married to you when that building would be complete. So that's how the Rani Roopmati Pavilion, which was a very high rising pavilion, it was created, and that was also the palace of the Rani Roopmati was closer to it. So she was daily offering these all kind of things. Now Adam Khan episode, I'm coming back. So Adam Khan was more interested in the Rani Roopmati than in the Malwa. And actually his campaign to the Malwa was all about capturing the Rani Roopmati. So now the battle ensued, and then Baj Bahadur was killed. So Baj Bahadur was killed, and then after, when this news has gone to Rani Roopmati, and then one more news was there that Adam Khan was entering into the Ashrafi Mahal to capture Rani Roopmati. So she also took the poison and she killed herself. So that's how the sad end of the Malwa happened, and Malwa was annexed into the Mughal kingdom. And rest of the episode of the Adam Khan, you know that Akbar has thrown him from twice, thrice, बहुत सारी stories हैं. कुछ लोग बोलते हैं कि 3-4 बार फेंका था. Then he died. But then whatever be the story, Akbar saw him killing one of his general, and then that's how he threw him out of that particular roof. So now let's get back to this part. So this is the story, and this is how the end of the Malwa as a regional kingdom happened. Then after Malwa, so next area, I will add one more into your class. I have not mentioned early. So 4th place पे लिखो गुजरात आर्किटेक्चर. Gujarat architecture. So Gujarat architecture was also in this period between 1200 to 1600, and it was developed by some of the rulers of the Gujarat, mainly, ठीक है, Ahmad Shah, Bahadur Shah, ठीक है, the Ahmad Shah, Bahadur Shah, and in fact it was the Ahmad Shah of the Gujarat who created the city of Ahmedabad. Then, but when it comes to the speciality of the style of the architecture, so this is the style of the, though it is a Islamic style of architecture, but it is very closer to the Hindu style or Trabeate style of the construction. So for example, that in the Hindu temples, Solanki you have mentioned, and in Solanki temples what we have mentioned, stone tracery work. Then, so stone tracery work of the Hindu temples were incorporated into the Islamic buildings. Moreover, one of the feature of the Trabeate architecture, Trabeate you understand, na? We mentioned last class. So Trabeate architecture was creation of the flat roof building, lintel, remember, lintel, roof, and also large number of pillars. So these were also incorporated into the Gujarat architecture. So mention, it was developed by Islamic rulers of Gujarat like Ahmad Shah, Muhammad Shah, like Ahmad Shah, Muhammad Shah, Muhammad, not Muhammad, Muhammad Shah and Bahadur Shah, and Bahadur Shah. Done. Then further you write, and Bahadur Shah. Gujarat architecture is noted for its close resemblance with Hindu architecture. Its close resemblance with Hindu architecture. For example, Jali work, large number of pillars in the buildings, large number of pillars in the buildings, and lintel roof, Then lintel roof. Then mention lintel, Lintel, lintel roof. Then mention, you write, some of the finest jalis of India were created in, not were created, was created in. So you write the one which I have mentioned, Sidi Sayyidi Mosque of Ahmedabad. Sidi Sayyid Mosque of Ahmedabad. And you can see this jali. This is actually one of the iconic jali of India, and many places this is represented. So you just look at any of it then. So this is the Sidi Sayyidi Mosque jali in Ahmedabad, and in fact it is also the logo of the IIM Ahmedabad. Then this particular one is the logo of the IIM Ahmedabad. Got it? ये जो मैंने images लाए उसमें है नहीं, इसलिए I have shown you here. Then mention, examples में लिखो, further examples you write, तीन दरवाज़ा, लाल दरवाज़ा, Old Ahmedabad City Complex, etc. Old Ahmedabad City Complex, etc. Done? So this is about the Gujarat architecture. Now you write the last one in the provincial architecture, that is Bijapur architecture, number 5. Bijapur architecture. So where is Bijapur? Karnataka. In Karnataka. So now listen. So Bijapur architecture developed under the Adil Shahi dynasty of the Bijapur. In medieval period, when you study about the Bahmani kingdom, Have you studied about it? Bahmani kingdom. So there came a phase when Bahmani kingdom was divided into 5 houses, and these 5 houses were Bidar, Birar, Bijapur, Ahmednagar, then Golconda. Then so these were the places, and in Bijapur, so Adil Shahi dynasty was there. So the speciality of this Adil Shahi architecture was that they created highly bulbous dome in their buildings. Okay? So these bulbous dome were almost spherical, and quite big in size. Then, meaning generally how the domes are created. So generally domes are semicircle. Okay? But in this architecture, you will see that this dome is about to complete the entire circle. Okay? So almost spherical. That is one speciality. Another speciality, that they also started creating cornices in their buildings. Then, so what is cornice? Let's understand. So suppose that if the building is like this, so some outer extending structures which are there in the buildings, so these would be called as cornices. Then, so outer extending structures, these are cornices. Hindi word chhajja, घर के बाहर, ठीक है? So, so that is cornice. So they created these cornices. Another thing, that one of the specific that special design in this area was 3-facet arch. 3-facet arch. Just understand that what is a 3-facet arch. So 3 arches would be created in the buildings, and then like this. Okay? So like this, but all of them are not functional. Some of them are blind and some of them are functional. So what is blind concept? So these two would be blind. These are the blind arches. So side ones are the blind arches, and the middle one is a functional arch. Can you give me the meaning of this one? What do we mean by the blind arch or functional arch? You cannot enter inside this one, and this is just for the decoration, and this is for the entry and exit. Mention. It developed under Adil under the rule of Adil Shah of Bijapur. Adil Shah of Bijapur. Then this style of architecture is noted for creation of highly bulbous and almost spherical domes. Highly bulbous and almost spherical domes. They also created cornices in their buildings, and 3-facet arch, In these arches, only one was functional. And the other two were blind. Then, example you write. Gol Gumbaj, Adil Shah's mausoleum, and Jama Masjid. of Bijapur. Jama Masjid of Bijapur. Jama Masjid of Bijapur. Then, so this is what is about the architecture which was there at this point of time. So I just want to connect this image wala part, and but Abhishek किसी को बुला ठीक है. So meanwhile continue करते हैं, and then when they connect, so we'll see the images. So now we are done with the architecture of the Delhi Sultanate period. We are moving towards the Mughal architecture. So mention a title, Mughal architecture. Mughal architecture. So listen. So when it comes to Mughal architecture, that the first ruler was Zahiruddin Babur, then, and his tenure was 1526 to 1530. Then after his son Humayun followed, who was ruling that in a discontinuous manner, 1530 to 1540, and then he has to flee from India, escape from India because of the Sesa Suri's attack, and then after once again he is coming back to India in 1555, but he was unfortunate. He fell from his observatory cum library, and he died because of it, Sher Mandal. So he fell from Sher Mandal and his death happened. So now this entire duration from 1526 to 1556, it is not noted for big architectural developments, because Babur didn't had much time to create some that landmark buildings at that time, 1526 to 30, and in fact all the time he was in fighting itself. But still he created some of the mosque, and he created two mosques actually. So these two mosques, one was created at Sambhal. Where is Sambhal? In UP, Rohilkhand area, and the one was at Sambhal, and another one at, no idea. Another one at the Panipat. Okay? So one at Sambhal and another one at the Panipat. So general perception is that the mosque which was there in Ayodhya, Babri Masjid, named after him, was created by him. It is not the information. Babri Masjid was created by a person whose name was Mir Baki, okay? Not by the Babur. Then he named it after the Babur, but then it was not created by the Babur. So Babur has only these two contributions, and these were not the big examples of the architectural marvel. Then what about the Humayun? So Humayun was very unfortunate guy. Then, though he was highly generous, he was a good guy, but then he was very unfortunate because all the time he had to fight with his adversaries. So who were the adversaries? So adversaries were Sesa Suri, obviously, Bahadur Shah of Gujarat. Then, so Sesa Suri, Bahadur Shah of Gujarat, and time and again he had to fight with them. And in fact, his adversaries were also his brothers. Okay? Kamran, Askari, and Hindal. Then, isko connect kar do ek baar. Just wait 1 minute. So Kamran, Askari, and Hindal. Taskari. So so you know this story, na, that his brothers were running after his life. In fact, that is one reason that in fact Babur has that when Babur was about to die, so he has taken a promise from the Humayun that he must take care of the brothers. Okay, since he was the eldest, so he must take care of the brothers, and Humayun actually paid respect to the words that he has given to his father. Then, so that's how Kabul was also the part of the Afghanistan, was also the part of the Mughal Empire. But then, when the fight between his brothers has started with him, so he gave the area of the Kabul and Afghanistan to his brother Kamran, Askari, and Hindal, and then he continued with this particular part. Okay, so now listen. So he was not able to construct anything. Then he laid foundation of one of the precursor city of Delhi, and that precursor city was known as Deen Panah. Okay? But he was very unfortunate. The unfortunate thing which we mentioned, he fell from his library cum observatory, and his library cum observatory was Sher Mandal. Then he fell from it. I hope this story you know. ये तो पता है ना, ठीक है? So he fell from it, and then his death happened. So the real architectural development in the Mughal period happened after his death. And the first architectural marvel of that time was Humayun's tomb, which was created by the widows of the Humayun, Begha Begum and Hamida Begum. So it is constructed under the surveillance of these two ladies, and moreover, this was till this point of time. Okay, whatever structure that you have seen in the Delhi Sultanate period, none of them were compared to the beauty of the Humayun's tomb. So it is a highly balanced architecture. हो गया? So it was highly balanced architecture. Arch and dome method of construction can be seen in quite balance. Then apart from it, there was a beautiful combination of the white marble and red sandstone. Apart from it, it was the first Mughal building in which Char Bagh tradition started. So what is Char Bagh? 4 similar identical gardens were created around the buildings. Then, so 4 similar identical gardens. In fact, Char Bagh is the Tadbhav form. Okay? It is not Tatsam form. I'm using something from Hindi. So it is not the pure form. In the pure Persian language, it was Chahar Bagh. Okay? So Chahar Bagh, and बाद में हमने उसको चाहर से चार बाग बना दिया. ठीक है? So but meaning is the same. That 4 similar identical gardens, and then the rest of the developments or good developments happened during the period of Akbar. Then हो गया? ठीक है, 1 मिनट रुको, wait करो. That's what I was saying ना, that taskari of the images from my device. अभी मैं फिर connect करूँगा because everything is visible and they are watching continuously on it. पता चले कुछ ऐसा sensational निकल जाए. So what was the last image that we have seen? I think ये हमने अमरावती तक देखा था, वही है ना, सारे images अमरावती वाले. उसके बाद से we haven't seen. ठीक है, तो just give me a minute, wait करना. So post Maurya period we have seen. गुप्ता से start करना है, is it? ठीक है, GMR 2 ना, हो जाएगा कनेक्ट, डोंट वरी. थोड़ा बहुत तो मुझे भी आता है, बट so from where I should start? Solanki temple architecture. ठीक है. So the temple that is visible to you right now, it is actually Akshardham of Delhi, but then ठीक है, now fine. So this is the early temple. Now you look at it, that this is what we were creating in the evolution of the temple. So temple number 17 of Sanchi. ठीक है. So as you can see that it is on a grounded platform. कोई बहुत ऊंचा तो नहीं है. And then the pillars which are created, they are just for the decoration purpose. Then this is the Parvati temple of Nashna Kuthara. Now you can see that कि थोड़ी height पे बना हुआ है. Stairs are there. Then so second phase में that Jagati is created. Then the third stage, this is the Dasavatar temple of Devgarh in Jhansi, and उसके ऊपर का tower, now it is no more existing, but there was a tower on the top which was the Sikhar. Then, and in this there must be one more image. So there is a sculpture of the Lord Vishnu from all the sides, then, and in different forms. So 10 avatar. So not all the avatars are depicted, but some of the avatars. So for example, this image is from the Devgarh Jhansi temple. Then the topmost structure that you are seeing, हमने ये भी लिखा था that at some places double story temples were also created. So this is the upper one, is the example of the double story temple in the evolution series. Then now we are starting with the Nagar style. So it's just a generic image. Now this is the representation of the Nagar temple, and as you can see that this is the part that we mention as a Sikhar. ठीक है? So Sikhar, many of you must be able to identify this temple. कहाँ है ये? हाँ, Varanasi, BHU. So Kashi Vishwanath temple of the BHU. Then internal structure now you can see. So Garbha Griha, this is Garbha Griha, the chamber in which the image of the deity is placed. Then this entire area we are calling it as a Mandap, where prayer hall, and this entrance part we call as a Ardha Mandap. ठीक है? Then इसमें visible तो नहीं है, but then when we are making a parikrama of this particular chamber, so this will be called as a ambulatory passageway or parikrama path. Sikhar and Amlak is visible to you, and topmost is the Kalash, which is the finial of the temple. Then Odisha style. So Odisha style. Now you see the Deul Sikhar. These Sikhars we are mentioning as the Deul. This one Deul, this is also Deul. So what is the speciality? It is almost vertical, and only from here it starts curving. So close to the top it starts curving, and this is what we call Deul Sikhar. Then structure, general structure of the Odisha temple. So Garbhagriha in the end, and then these are the different parts of the temple. So Jagamohan is the prayer hall, then Natamandira, Bhogamandira. What is Natamandira? The devotional performances would be there, and Bhogamandir, so Prasad of the temple. So this is not Jagannath temple. See, I have kept it deliberately. Why so? It's not allowed to click the image of the Jagannath temple. If you have been to, so it is not allowed, and moreover, they make a request, bahar se to खींच सकते हो, but then they also make a request that don't do it. Then, so I have not done it. Inside ऐसे ही दिखता है, it is from other temple. The overall structure is like this, but then Jagannath temple is much bigger than this. Then, so this is the image, kind of a replica of the image. So since you cannot take the photos inside, so you cannot take the photos inside the Jagannath. And these are the replicas of those. So the side one, okay? Who is he? Lord Jagannath. Then in the black color, Lord Jagannath. In the middle, Subhadra, and the side is the Balabhadra. Then Sun Temple of the Konark. Then so Sun Temple of the Konark, and in fact there is this sundial in the Konark temple, and it is said that this sundial provides the exact time. Okay? Even the microseconds are also correct when it is in the light of the sun. Then so sundials are created over here. Then this is one beautiful example of the sundial, and in fact I think we mentioned the tantric practices also. So these are the places where those tantric images are created. It is also from the same place. Lingaraj temple of Bhubaneswar. Then this is Raja Rani temple of Bhubaneswar. So this is the slide related to the very first style. Then let's go to Solanki. I'll tell you Solanki style. So Solanki style. So this image is basically Somnath temple, and on the banks of, not banks of, that it is on the seashore. Then so Arabian Sea, and Modhera Sun temple. It is not a functional temple. अब यहाँ पे पूजा पाठ तो नहीं होता है, but this is a architectural marvel, and moreover very beautiful as far as its water tank is concerned. So there is one more image of it. This is not the this is not the part of it. No, this is the part of that particular chamber. And then you remember what we mentioned, that on the stairs of the temple there were small replicas of the temple. Okay? So water tank. Then Ambaji temple in Gujarat. This is also considered as a temple which very high sanctity, and people often say that their wishes are fulfilled at this temple. ठीक है? Exam के पहले नहीं चिट्ठी बना लो. In fact, there is a temple in, I don't know how many of you are from Hyderabad, but there is a temple in Hyderabad which is known as Visa Temple. And people go over there to take that, and they say that when you pray, when you want US visa, so you must go to the Visa Temple of the Hyderabad. Then, and there is a good record also. So this is from Rajasthan, Jain Temple of Ranakpur, Dilwara Jain Temple. And remember in Solanki style what we mentioned, that ki bahar se optimum decoration. So there is decoration but not very lavish, and inside it was lavishly decorated. So this is entirely the part of the inside. As you can see, that white marble has been cut into many different shapes, and stone tracery work that we wrote. So that is in the Dilwara Jain temple. Ajit Nath Jain temple of Tarang. This is also in Rajasthan. And Bhadrashwar Jain temple. It's also a very beautiful temple. As far as the stone color is concerned, it is one of the unique. and Rani Ki Vav. This is in Patan, and it is a UNESCO heritage place. So this is a step well. अभी तो ये ऊपर का रास्ता है, but it goes downside and नीचे की तरफ you will find only one image, and that is the name of the image is the Seshasai Vishnu. ठीक है? So Sheshasai Vishnu, meaning that Lord Vishnu in his Ananta Vishram. What is Ananta Vishram? That infinite, infinite relaxation period. So there are different, that if you go to this place na, generally stay for 3-4 hours and go by, I would suggest that go by 12 o'clock, ठीक है, 12-1 बजे के आसपास जाओ दिन में, and stay till the evening. So then you will be able to capture many hues of the colors as far as this, that sunlight, the angle of the sunlight changes, the entire structure color changes. Then, so this is about the Solanki style. Then Solanki के बाद, so what is remaining? Khajuraho. That is Chandela only. So Khajuraho temples of the Chandela style. And as you can see that this is just one level of the platform. Very high. इसके नीचे भी अभी सीढ़ियाँ हैं, ठीक है? So this was created relatively on a very high platform. From the next image, you get much more clarity. So now you can see that entrance part east to west corridor, you remember? Chambers were connected east to west corridor, and then entrance we are calling as a Ardha Mandap, then Mandap, then the very closer part to the Garbhagriha is called as Mahamandap. Then Urushring लिखा नहीं है तुमने, but then I need to explain over here. As you can see कि ये main शिखर हो गया, and on the main शिखर many small शिखर्स are falling on it. So ये falling शिखर्स को हम बोलते हैं उरुश्रृंग. Then apart from it, what else is there? Rest of the things you know, Pradakshinapat, Jagati and other things. जैसे अंतराल. So अंतराल, generally it is the feature of the South Indian temples, but in some of the North Indian temples also अंतराल is created. एक और पार्ट है इसमें जो मैंने क्लास में नहीं बोला है, so just understand what is mentioned over Adhishthan. What is Adhishthan? Adhishthan is Jagati itself. अब ध्यान से समझना, Adhishthan is Jagati itself. This entire platform is Jagati, but chamber कहाँ पे है? ठीक है, बीच में यहाँ पे. So the part of the Jagati where the god is placed is called as Adhishthan, and the process of the installing the deity in the temple is called as Adhisthapana. Do you know that? So this particular part is called as Adhishthan. Not every part of the temple is Adhishthan, but this is the Adhishthan. Then Kandariya Mahadev temple of Khajuraho. Obviously there is no doubt that they were one of the very beautiful structures of that time, and all of them are in a UNESCO heritage list. So Kandariya Mahadev also, and so as the Lakshman temple. This is the Chaunsat Yogini temple. So this was the question which was asked in 2020, and this is the example which is that inspiration behind the Parliament building. Okay, so Morena Wala temple. So this is the Morena Wala, and there are two more. One is at the Khajuraho and one is at the Jabalpur. So मेरे पास, so Kama Sutra imagery of the Khajuraho, already we have given you explanation. So as you can see that different kind of sexual images are there, and then justification cannot just go by Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, but rather than the second explanation that I have given to you with the story of the Queen Maya Devi. Then, so even human-animal interaction is also there. So Parshvanath temple of Khajuraho. So sexual images were not only there on the Hindu temples, but also on the Jain temples. So this was a common tradition over there in the Khajuraho. This is the Ghantai temple, no more existing, only the remains are there. The real structure has fallen off. So it was a Jain architecture. And this temple, the last one that you are seeing, that is the Jabalpur one. Okay? So ये भी 64 Yogini temple है. But then in the middle they have created a Shikhar also. Got it? अब वापस चलते हैं South India. So just give me a minute. Not minutes, seconds only. Visible है ना? ठीक है. So remember evolution, very first one, Mahendra Varman stage. and the structures at, this is mandap at Mamandur. Done. So first example that we have written, Mamandur. So as you can see कि बाहर से बहुत कुछ change नहीं किया है, but from inside they have cut the chambers, then and inside the deity would be placed. Then this is Narsimhavarman stage, the Rath of the Mahabalipuram. ठीक है, so Pandav Rath. So Yudhishthir, Bhim, Arjun, Nakul, Sahadev and Draupadi Rath. So these all were created. Rajasimha Varman stage. So this is the real stage of the development of the Dravida temple, and this temple is from the Kanchipuram. So Kailasnath temple of Kanchipuram, and this is the sword temple of the Mahabalipuram. Okay? So this is Vaikunt Perimal temple created in the Nandi Varman stage. Then this is also in the Kanchipuram district. So let's look into the other styles of Dravid. Brihadeshwar temple of the Tanjore. So Brihadeshwar temple of Tanjore, this is the structure that we were mentioning, that this is 68 meter high, and upar ka ye jo octagonal cupola hai, that is 88 ton is the weight of this one. So it is one of the largest temple premises in India. Now, so Lakshmi Narayani temple of Golden temple of Vellore, then completely created in the gold color. And this is Virupaksha temple of Hampi. So Virupaksha temple of Hampi, that's the other side of the premise, and created by Raja Krishnadeva Raya. Then this is Veerbhadra temple of Lepakshi. So Veerbhadra temple of Lepakshi has a story that it seems that it is the Lord Shiva's image. So the story is from the Ramayana itself. The story is that the name of the place, Lepakshi, is in Anantapur district of the Andhra. And the story is that when Ravan has kidnapped Sita, so then Jatayu is fighting with the Ravan, and this is the place where Jatayu has fell. So when Lord Ram is searching for them, he finds Jatayu over here, and when Jatayu is about to provide the information, he was about to die, and then here Lord Ram has given a little bit of life to the Jatayu, and then he said Lepakshi. Okay? So Lepakshi meaning that, oh bird, you live little bit more. Then this is what is the appeal that he made, and then after Jatayu lived, and then he told the direction, and that's how here after the death of the Jatayu, he not only performed the last rites, but he also did Aradhana of his Ishtadev, that is the Lord Shiva, and then he has embarked on the path of the Rameshwaram. So now let's come to the next. Nayak style of temple. So Nayak style of temple, this is from Meenakshi Madurai temple, but it is just one angle of the Meenakshi Madurai. And with this particular image, you cannot imagine that how beautiful this temple is. In fact, you will have to visit the temple to look at it. Then, so this is the largest temple of India, Sri Ranganath Swami temple of Srirangam, then which has more than 18 gopurams, and so as that there seems to be a vivid riot of the colors when you look at the towers of the buildings. Then Meenakshi temple Parakrams, the huge corridors you mentioned, you remember? We wrote that huge corridors are there which connect the different parts of the temple. So these are the Parakrams, and these Parakrams have so many pillars then, and these all are highly decorated pillars. Then this is the Vesara style Durga temple of Aihod. So this one looks like a Viman, and then the last part of it is the semicircular Chaitya shape, and then covered ambulatory passageway. So this is Garbhagriha, and here people are doing the circumambulation, but this area is covered. Hoysala temple of Hoysaleshwar. So Hoysaleshwar temple of Halibut, and as we mentioned, calcite stone. Normally smoky grey in color, pani padte hi it becomes black. Okay? And as in this image you can see, this is also the Hoysala temple, Channakesava temple of Somnathpura, and it has this particular stellate ground plan, star shaped ground plan. So now let's come to image dekh lo, and then we'll give you break. So Delhi Sultanate dekhna hai hame, theek hai? Just give me one minute. Indo-Islamic architecture. So this is actually Humayun's tomb. I have kept it at front. Now from here on, just understand. So these examples are not from India. This is the dome example, okay, that how the domes were created. Qutub Minar is obviously from India, and that's how the arches were created. So true arches were created. Then further example. What is this? You tell me. Arabesque. This is arabesque. As you can see, same kind of similar identical designs are getting created on each of the part, and then geometrical design, beautiful motifs are created. Then apart from it, what is this? Jali pattern, and this one, Paitra dura. Okay? So this is the Paitra dura tessellation technique of the colored marbles and semi-precious stones into the wall. Then, so Paitra dura. Then, so this image is from the Gujarat one, Sidi Sayyidi Mosque, and this is basically the best example of the Paitra dura. This one, it's not in India, it is the Blue Mosque of Iran. Then, so this is the best example of the Paitra dura. In India, it has been incorporated, but the best of the best you will have to see over here. And this is also one example of the arabesque, okay, but in a colored manner. So Qutub Minar. Now in Qutub Minar, what you are able to note down in this image, can you see that? So basically, what is this? बताओ इसको देखो यहाँ पे. What is this? Pillars of the Kila Rai Pithoda. ठीक है? Since temple bells are there, so these are the Hindu motifs and Hindu designs which are there. So they were used in the construction of this particular Mehrauli complex. Then, so the Kila Rai Pithoda was the fort of the Prithviraj Chauhan, which was destroyed by the Kutubuddin Aibak, and then all the debris of the समझ रहे हो ना कि all the parts of the destroyed building, they were used in the construction of the new architecture over here. So in fact, each and everywhere they have used the same columns. Then come to Adhai Din Ka Jhopda at Ajmer. It was also a converted structure. So this is what has happened in the very first phase, that is the slave dynasty phase. Then, so Quwwatul Islam Mosque, the last part, okay? Andar ka part, it is a kind of a open mosque. So open mosque, and it was created by the Kutubuddin Aibak himself. Then this is Alai Darwaja, created by Alauddin Khilji. So this arch and then dome, they are example of the first true arch and dome in India. So now this is from the Tughlaq period. So Kotla Fort in ruins. If you have ever gone to Firoza Kotla Stadium, so जब भी कभी जाना, ठीक है, वहाँ पे मैच देखने, so generally what will happen that they will be taking you from the outer ring road side, and that's where you see Firoza Kotla fort. So now it is in a dilapidated condition, and it does not looks well from very long, that from distance. But then you may be surprised if it is the good sunlight day. So you may be surprised that large number of people would be seen over there at the Firoza Kotla, this fort. So one fine day, I was also interested. I went over there to inquire about that, why so many people are there at this particular place. So I saw that so many photography sessions were going on. Then I happened to ask. So then I got to know that this particular fort is in ruins. But then they said that कि sir, देखने में खराब लग रहा है, but यहाँ पे photos बहुत अच्छे आते हैं. So this has become a pre-wedding photo shoot place. So the idea is that though this structure is dilapidated, but it is good for you getting hitched, and then after your life would be in the ruins. So खिंचवा लेना तुम लोग भी अपनी photo. So this is the octagonal tomb of the Muhammad Shah in Lodhi's garden. ठीक है? So octagonal tomb, as you can see this, कि ये तीन portion ही दिख रहा है, but otherwise the 8 portion would be seen once you are there. Then, so this is the Sayyid tomb, and then the Lodhi garden and the Lodhi's tomb. So you'll have to visit this place to see these all structures. देख लिया है ना? अरे तेज हो तुम लोग बहुत. और कुछ बचा है? Provincial architecture देख लो, then I'll give you break. So provincial architecture में, let's start with the. So this is the first one is the Mandu Fort, but then Kadam Rasul Mosque of Bengal, ठीक है? Gaur in Bengal. So you see how beautiful it is. यहीं जाके मेरे पैसे बर्बाद हुए थे. So हाँ, पार्क अच्छा है, ठीक है, बिल्डिंग में कुछ भी नहीं है. देन See this building, how beautiful it is. Park is good. Okay? So Adina Masjid of Pandua in Bengal, and this is Atala Masjid Jaunpur, and this is the Propylon Gateway. So Propylon Gateway, and then on the side these chambers are created. So ये chambers हमें दो ही चार दिख रहे हैं, but there are so many chambers which are created for a greater length. And on the back side of this gateway is the mosque. Then Malwa architecture. So this is Hindola Mahal arches. Isn't it beautiful? In fact, यहाँ पे photos अच्छे आते हैं, ठीक है? So Instagram reel वाले लोग, Ashrafi Mahal of Mandu. Then we have more images. So this is the Rani Roopmati Pavilion, very high rising pavilion created at a separate place so that the best view of the Narmada river can be captured. And sunrise and sunset is very good over here. So Jahaj Mahal, which is created in the middle of a lake. Then Safai karni bhul gaye ye log. Gol Gumbaj of Bijapur. So it is. So now you see that this has entrance. As you can see that this is the functional arch, and these two are the blind arches. Okay? And then these are the chhajjas which are created in it, cornices, and so as the highly bulbous dome, which is almost spherical. Adil Shah's Mausoleum of Bijapur, and the last one, Jami Masjid of Bijapur. Good. So Mughal architecture अब next class में देखेंगे, पढ़ेंगे अभी. Now you can take break. ठीक है? चलो. So now I mention. Right. Neither Babur nor Humayun. Neither Babur nor Humayun had enough time and opportunity. Neither Babur nor Humayun had enough time and opportunity to create landmark structures in India. To create landmark structures in India. Landmark structures in India. Then mention further. Though Babur created two mosques, one at Panipat and other at Sambhal. In UP. Then mention. Humayun laid foundation of one of the precursor city of Delhi. Humayun laid foundation of one of the precursor city of Delhi, Din Panah. One of the precursor city of Delhi, Din Panah, but he was not able to complete it. Then mention. Change paragraph. Humayun's tomb made by his wives Hamida Begum and Begha Begum. नाम है, ठीक है, don't laugh on it. So Hamida Begum and Begha Begum created. How you have written? How you have started? Humayun's tomb made by, ठीक है, was the first landmark architecture of Mughal period. First landmark architecture of the Mughal period. Mention. This building is considered as perfect balance of arch and dome construction, and the best blend of red sandstone and white marble. Full stop. It was also the first building. Around which Chahar Bagh, you can also mention Chahar Bagh, and in brackets you can write 4 similar identical gardens. 4 similar identical gardens were planted. 4 similar identical gardens were planted. Done. So this is what is the period of the Humayun, and just after his death, when Akbar was just a minor, he was just 13 years old when he has ascended to the throne. So the architectural initiatives were taken by the mothers then. But now after 1560, Akbar has become a grown up. He is 18-year-old, and that's the time when Bairam Khan has also retired. Then basically the option was given by the Akbar himself, so he retired, and then Akbar has started his full-fledged rule. So architectural initiatives of the Akbar also started at this point of time. So now understand that how Akbar has started. So Akbar's architectural initiative, right in the beginning, it was all focused on Agra. So he started the construction of the Red Fort Agra then, and up to a great extent that whatever he wanted in the Agra, he completed it. But then there was one personal incident in his life, and he was quite much influenced by that incident, and that's how he decided to shift his entire capital complex to the Fatehpur Sikri. So what is personal incident? In fact, the personal incident, the Sufi interest in the Mughal house is not from the Akbar's time, it is there from the Babar's time itself. In fact, story goes back to the Babar. I'll tell you one. In 1530, that Babar was never ever, in his biography Tujhka Babri, he has written that he did not like the climate of India, and he was often complaining about the dusty climate in the summer season, and then also the summers were very harsh. On the other hand, he was born and brought up in the Fargana Valley of the Uzbekistan, which was actually very beautiful. And then later on, most of the part of his life is spent in the Kabul. So Kabul was also, naturally it was beautiful. But then he has this complaint. So very often he was coming to India, going back to Kabul, coming to India, going back to Kabul. In this, what happened, that his eldest son Humayun was terminally ill, meaning that he was in such a state of coma then, where his survival, maybe it was expected that he may not survive. So Babar was very restless at this point of time. He seeked all the kind of solutions with the divine solutions, then the Vedic solutions, every solution he seeked, but then he was not getting any such intervention whereby the health of Humayun can be improved. Somebody suggested that there is a Sufi saint, why don't you consult with him? So there was one Sufi saint who came to the house of the Babar, and then he asked a question to the Babar that in the lieu of the life of your son, what will you give? So then Babar said, that I will give up this kingdom. This kingdom is not dear to me. My son is dear to me. So then the Sufi saint said that this is already you are not liking. This kingdom is already you are not liking. So it's not a big deal. Then once again he asked, what will you give in the lieu of the life of your son? So then Babar said that I will give my own life. And then the Sufi saint said that it may become true. He left the place. And this is what has been written in majority of, this is the mysterious event in the Mughal house, that it is said that within 2-3 days, Babar fell ill, and slowly he was going into the zone where he was in the zone of the terminally ill. in the coma, and Humayun was regaining consciousness day by day. And it is unfortunate the day Babur lost his life, Humayun regained consciousness. Okay? So from here onwards, the faith in the Sufis emboldened in the Mughal house. So Akbar was also one of this lot. Then that he has also a lot of faith in the Sufis, and the Sufi saint was the Salim Chishti of Fatehpur Sikri. So what is the problem with the Akbar? That Akbar, despite having many wives, then he was not blessed with a son. Then so he was not blessed with a son, and then he was a bit restless about it, and that too that he wanted it from the Jodha. So then he has got the blessings of the Salim Chishti, and then it has been mentioned then that with the blessings of the Salim Chishti, that Akbar was blessed with a son. The son was Jahangir, but then he was named Salim, then after the Salim Chishti. And in the reverence of the Salim Chishti, Akbar has decided that he will shift his entire capital complex to Fatehpur Sikri, which is 23 kilometers far from the Agra. So now the entire capital complex was created in Fatehpur Sikri, but this new architecture of Fatehpur Sikri was actually new. Then it was not the replication of the Mughal style, replication of the Islamic style, but it was the incorporation of the synthetic culture of India. Then so Hindu elements were also there, Rajput elements were also there, and the Islamic architectural elements were also there. Then so in fact, this synthesis of the entire culture of India, this is what many a times we call it as a Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. Then so basically that incorporation of all the styles and influence of all the styles, take living together and the cohabitation concept. So this is what we call Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb. So now we will mention that what all features he has incorporated in particular buildings, and then some special features of the buildings also we need to mention. So just write a little bit. So what is the last line that you have written? Chahar Bagh, Humayun's tomb you have written. So now you write Akbar's period architecture. So now you write a specific heading. Akbar's period architecture. So in this you mention, initially Akbar laid the foundation of Red Fort Agra. But later, in the reverence of Sufi saint, Salim Chishti. Sufi saint. So you can see the spelling of Salim Chishti, Chishti. Salim Chishti. He decided to shift his capital complex. At Fatehpur Sikri. कहाँ है मेरा जुड़वा भाई? So Fatehpur Sikri, then mention. मुझे नहीं चाहिए, मेरा नहीं, that's not mine. So mention, you write Fatehpur Sikri. At this particular place, all the architectural things at this particular place, with a combination of or fusion लिखना, combination or fusion दोनों लिख लो चलो, combination or fusion of Islamic, Hindu, Rajput, and other local elements, and other local elements, and other local elements, full stop. Then you write one of the marvel of Sikri town was Buland Darwaja. One of the marvel of Sikri town was Buland Darwaja, created after Gujarat victory of Akbar. Created after Gujarat victory of Akbar. Then mention Gujarat victory of Akbar, full stop. It is noted for Tudor type of arches. Tudor type of arches. So to understand this Tudor type of arches, create one image. So give me this little bit of time. बड़े हंसमुख हो, रांची से आए हो क्या? हाँ, कौन है भैया? नहीं, क्यों? थोड़ा चेहरा दिखाओ. क्या डाबर लाल दंत मंजन यूज कर रहे हो? राजू, तुम्हारे दांत इतने चमक क्यों रहे हैं? हाँ, पतंजलि. ओहो, अहो भाग्य हमारे. So this type of the arch is considered as the Tudor arch. So this is in the middle, a very big arch they will be creating. On the sides, the two arches would be created in half part. And this is very common type of the arch in entire Mughal scenario. So you must have seen, if you have been to Agra, if you have been to any of the Mughal buildings, so you must have seen this kind of arch. So this combination of the 5 arches are called as Tudor type of arches. Then so I think that after the completion of art and culture, your entire history part would be over. है ना? बाकी तो हो चुका है ना? Everything. So now, the last line that you have written, that it has the Tudor type of arches. उसके अलावा लिखो, ठीक है? So next you mention one of the unique architectural piece was Panch Mahal. Unique architectural piece was Panch Mahal, created in Trabeate Rajput style. Created in Trabeate Rajput style. Then एक बार लिख लो, and then I'll create one such image of it. Later on we'll see the image also, not today but then next class. So mention further. So Panch Mahal, which was created with Trabeate Rajput style. Then you write, it had large number of pillars. It had large number of pillars, and it is a 5-story. It had large number of pillars. And it was a 5-story flat roof building. 5-story flat roof building with receding structures. With receding structures. Done. Then mention huge Rajput style balconies. Huge Rajput style balconies were also created in this building. Huge Rajput style balconies were also created in this building. So it generally seemed like this, and this entire part of the building, you will see that n number of the pillars. A real image baad mein dekh lenge, but this is how it was created, that so many pillars were there in each and every layer. Then, and as you can see that receding structure is there, and everywhere you can see there is a big balcony. So this is a balcony, this is a Rajput style balcony, and everywhere you can see that a good balcony is there. Then, so this is the Panch Mahal. Then apart from it, some of the important buildings. So some names we will write, and then we'll go into the further explanation of some other buildings. So for example, that one of the building was Jahangiri Mahal, one of the building was Jodha Palace and Birbal Palace. But then the unique architecture is the Salim Chisti's tomb itself. Then so Salim Chisti's tomb, which is created inside this particular Fatehpur Sikri complex, it's one of the best example of the Jali panels, okay, or Jalidar work. So reticular panels of the Gujarat were very well represented over here. Then apart from it, there is one more place which was created inside this Fatehpur Sikri, and that's not known for its beauty, but it's known for the purpose. And the name of the building was Ibadat Khana. So Ibadat Khana question was asked in the prelims paper. Basically what they asked, what was the purpose of the Ibadat Khana? So naam se aise lagta hai that Ibadat is a prayer. Then so prayer hall, and in option also prayer hall was given, but actually this is where the UPSC tricks the people, that it was not actually prayer hall. Ibadat Khana was the place of the religious discussion and deliberation with the representative of all the religions. If you have studied medieval, so then you must have studied about the Akbar's inclination towards the creation of new religion. Akbar was not at all very much satisfied with the explanations of the religious processes of that time, and then he went on to create his own theology, and that theology was known as Tawheed-e-Ilahi, which later on popularly came to be known as Deen-e-Ilahi. And with the Deen-e-Ilahi, he wanted to spread the message of the Sulekul. So initially Ibadat Khana, dhyan se sunna, that initially Ibadat Khana was meant for religious discussion with the Islamic theologians. But then Akbar was not satisfied with their dogmatic attitude, and that's how he opened it for the entire that religious scenario. So Hindus were also invited, Buddhists were invited, Jainas were invited, so as the Christians, and Christians were represented by the Portuguese. Then, so I hope you must be knowing that Portuguese were very hopeful during the Akbar time that they will be able to convert Akbar into the Christianity. Then, in fact, that one funny incident happened later on. So Akbar did not convert it during Jahangir's time. Jahangir was an atheist. He did not believe in the religion. Then, so he did not believe in the religion. So Portuguese were very hopeful that they will be able to convert him also. And at this time, Jahangir said to them that on one condition I'll be converting to the Christianity, that I'm giving you my 3 nephews, then, and they will be converted to the Christianity. Then if they stay Christian for more than 6 months, so I will also convert to Christianity, and if they do not stay, so you will not be forcing, you will not be pestering. Now it was agreed. So these 3 nephews of the Jahangir, they were converted to Christianity. Then, and these were young kids whose age was 13 year, 14 year, 15 year old. And then something dramatic started to happen. So if they are converted into Christianity, they must have been given a little bit of freedom. So what they did, that they gave them those Christian robes. Done. So these young boys, they are wearing those Christian robes, and they were forced to go to one village to another village, holding a cross and saying some things about the Jesus. So these boys, they thought that it is making a mockery of theirs, then, that they have been mocked every place, and then they were so much interested in getting back to the Islam, and within 3 months only they got back to Islam, and then onwards the blockage of the Christianity happened in the Mughal court. So there was bit openness related to the religious discussions in those times. I hope you know this episode. No idea? Chalo. But anyways, now you got to know. So what I was talking about, that Ibadat Khana. So this is how in Ibadat Khana, when he was not satisfied with the theologians from Islam, he opened it for the theologians from other religions also. So mention, likho. Some other notable buildings. Some other notable buildings. In Fatehpur Sikri are as follows. In Fatehpur Sikri are as follows. So mention. First you write Birbal Palace, Jodha Palace, Jahangiri Mahal, and Salim Chisti's tomb. Salim Chisti's tomb. Then in this you mention Salim Chisti tomb mein aage likho that it was the best example of jali work or stone tracery work. Jali work or stone tracery work. Then next you write Ibadat Khana. So mention this building was meant for religious discussion and deliberation. Religious discussion and deliberation with the representatives of Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism, Islam, and Christianity. Islam and Christianity. Islam and Christianity. Then mention one of the outcome of these discussions was creation of a new theology by Akbar. Creation of a new theology by Akbar, popularly known as Deen-e Ilahi. Popularly known as Deen-e Ilahi. And popularly known as Deen-e Ilahi. Done. एक और ऐड कर लो इसमें. I don't know. Have you written the Sulekul and everything? Mention करो, इसमें लिखो. So, with this new religion, Akbar wanted to spread. With this new religion, Akbar wanted to spread the message of Sulekul. You can see the spelling over here. यही लिखना. Sulekul. And in brackets you write universal peace and brotherhood. universal peace and brotherhood. Done? So you know what has happened at this point of time. So I'll tell you exactly that why Akbar has gone in this direction. So there was some discussion related to, have you heard the word Darul Harib and Darul Islam? Darul Harb and Darul Islam. What does it mean? Batao? And? Not exactly like this. Darul Islam is basically the land of the Islam, where the law Shariat is followed. Okay? So the area where the Islamic law Shara is followed is the Darul Islam. And despite being Islam in religion, if you don't follow the Islamic law Shariat, so then it is called as Darul Harb. Okay? So Darul Harb. So now, in fact, the entire world, if you look at the Islamic countries, so they were divided on the basis of this. Okay? Now, majority of the country, they claim themselves to be the Darul Islam. Okay? Meaning that they follow the Islamic law, Shariat. But then Turkey was the one country which have gone into the direction of the Darul Harb also. So, and many of the countries that they have started mixing some new kind of justice system. So in the old world, in the medieval world, then that all the Islamic kingdoms, they were asked about this thing, that are you Darul Harb or Darul Islam? So there was an accusation on the Akbar that despite being in the Islam, he does not follow the Shariat law, and then he follows the Darul Harb. And many a time he tried to give his justification that his policy is of that good governance, not about the religion. But then the Islamic theologians were not satisfied, and that's how that out of the frustration he said that he will be better Darul Harb than Darul Islam. Then after this only he has gone into the process of the Deen-e-Ilahi and Sulekul. Okay? So this is there. In fact, acha iske alawa, if I ask another ruler from the Indian history whom you can say that he also followed the direction of the Darul Harb. So from the medieval period till the Mughal age. Any other ruler that you can name? Who said? Loud? Yeah, tell the name. Alauddin Khilji, yes. So it was Alauddin Khilji. So Alauddin Khilji, now there is one aspect about the Alauddin Khilji that rarely some people know. Alauddin Khilji, that he was very much proud of himself, and then he wanted to become like the Genghis Khan. Then, so Genghis Khan even better than Genghis Khan, and he also proposed that he's going to create a religion of his own. Then, so this part you might. ये पता है that he was going to create his own religion. So he was going to create his own religion. He clearly rejected that he does not follow anybody as higher than himself. He himself is the highest. And then he will create a religion which everybody will follow. But that's the time when that one of his trusted person, who was a very famous astrologer, has stopped Alauddin Khilji from doing these things. And in fact, he also said that there are imminent threat to the Alauddin Khilji if he goes in this direction. In fact, Alauddin Khilji was the most powerful, and he was victorious in all the directions. You must have studied about his campaigns in Devgiri, Warangal, and Hoysala, and then the Mabar area, Dwar Samudra and Mabar area. But he did not capture this area. The reason being that he was proscribed by his astrologer that don't do it. Invade, loot the areas, but don't do the annexation. So that's what he followed for a certain period of time. But then when his best phase was about to start, so he was unfortunate, not from the India's perspective, but he was unfortunate for himself that he fell ill, and then his death happened in 1316. Okay? So he was the second person who went in the direction of the Darul Harib. Okay? Rest of the rulers, rest of the people, they were following the Darul Islam. There is one more story, that one more part of it, you may not be knowing, that Mughals were the Sunni followers. Okay? Shia Sunni to pata hai na? So Mughals were the Sunni followers, but when Humayun was defeated then by Shershah Suri, he took refuge in one of the kingdom in the Rajput area, Amarkot. But later on in 1543, he has to escape from India, and he found refuge in Iran. But he was given refuge in Iran only on one condition, fulfillment of the condition. What was that? He will have to accept Shia Islam. He accepted Shia Islam, and that's how he was given refuge in the Iran. Okay? And then when he has returned back, his death has happened, but his sons, they continued the Sunni version. Chalo, Sumengshan, you write. So what you have written last time? ठीक है, तो अकबर के बारे में वी हैव मेंशन्ड मेजॉरिटी ऑफ द बिल्डिंग्स. देयर आर 2 more बिल्डिंग्स इन फतेहपुर सीकरी, यू राइट. मेंशन करो दीवाने आम, दीवाने आम. सो इसमें इन ब्रैकेट्स यू राइट मीटिंग प्लेस विद कॉमन पब्लिक, मीटिंग प्लेस with common public and then you write दीवाने खास. So इसमें लिखना meeting place with special people. Meeting place with special people. बट यहाँ डेटिंग वाला कोई चीज़ नहीं है, ठीक है. स्पेशल मीन्स दैट दोज हु आर ऑफिसर रैंक पीपल. डेटिंग के लिए एक अलग जगह थी, दैट वाज नोन एज खाबगाह. सो now one last thing about the Akbar that you need to know. So last thing about the Akbar, that Akbar's wife, one of the wife was Jodhabai. Original name was Harkhabai actually. ठीक है. Jodhabai was is popularly known in the culture, but otherwise Harkhabai. And in fact, Raja Man Singh of Amer. ठीक है. So Raja Man Singh of Amer was one of the courtier of the Akbar and one of the Navaratna of the Akbar's court. And in fact, Jodhabai was the Bua of the Man Singh, ठीक है, and they belong to the Kachwaha dynasty of the Rajput, ठीक है. So Kachwaha, so have you heard about it? क्या पढ़ रहे हो तुम लोग? So चलो. So listen, Kachwahas have a very long history right from the 11th century itself. When you started your study of the Delhi Sultanate, so then you must have studied about the Agnikul Rajputs and then also the Rajput 7 clans of the Rajputs. Kachwahas were also one of the important Rajputs who emerged in the Amer area of the Jaipur. Okay? So let's get back to this part. So what we were mentioning, so it is Man Singh, okay, who created one of the largest temple of India at that time, and this temple was created at Vrindavan. Name of the temple was Govind Dev Temple of the Vrindavan. Then, and Akbar provided huge funding to this particular temple. But there is one more aspect of this temple I will not discuss today because it is related to Aurangzeb. So in Aurangzeb episode, next class will be mentioning. So you write that one of the luminary of the Akbar's court, one of the luminary of Akbar's court, Raja Man Singh of Amer, one of the luminary of Akbar's court, Raja Man Singh of Amer, created Govind Dev Temple, Govind Dev Temple of Vrindavan, Govind Dev Temple at Vrindavan, which was also highly funded by Akbar, which was also highly funded by Akbar. Then, so this is what is all about the life of the Akbar, his architectural initiatives related to the architecture. Historical part obviously I have discussed a little bit, but that's not with me to discuss. So next class, I'm just stopping here. And next class will be starting with the Jahangir. We'll be completing the Shah Jahan part. We'll be completing the architecture part, and then after, in the second half of the class, we'll start with the religion and philosophy, and the very first topic would be the Buddhism. ठीक है? All fine? चलो. So, and when we have the next class? कल है? Day after tomorrow. ठीक है? कल है? ठीक है? So चलो. Tomorrow, I think 1 o'clock. Tomorrow it is 1 o'clock. Fine. Chalo, good night.